Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Build Your Best Life. Hello, Dwayne. Thank you for tuning in. Good evening, Peggy. This is Build Your
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Build Your Best Life. Welcome to Build Your Best Life. Hello, Dwayne. Thank you for tuning in.
Y'all didn't want to hear that, did you? Okay. Build Your Best Life is a platform that's designed to assist high school age and young adult males to overcome.
Tuning in. Good evening, Peggy. This is Build Your
to overcome obstacles from their personal lives, as well as those things that society tends to throw at them. I believe it is better to train early rather than to fix later. And I know a lot of people ask me, well, you are a lady. Why do you have a platform for males? Well, yes, I am a lady, but I am a mother. I'm a grandmother. I have a daughter. I have granddaughters. So not only am I concerned about making sure that my sons are raised in a proper way, but I want to make sure that my daughter and my granddaughters meet young men that are strong, that have respect for them, know how to treat ladies. So it's very important that someone teach our men. And I have seen a lack of that in society. And so that is just my passion, to go after our young men and show the world that our young men of color are smart, they're bright, they want to do better. A lot of times they have things that have occurred to them in life that keeps them from doing things, because, you know, sometimes if you don't know what to do, you can't do it. So someone has to, teach them. A lot of the skills that were taught in schools 30, 50 years ago aren't taught anymore, like basic principles. So they have to come from somewhere. So that's why I have this passion and drive to see our young men do better. And this young man that I have as my special guest tonight, Pastor Claude Cheatham, my godson, he has passion and drive as well. I guess I met him maybe 2-3 years ago, and it was immediate attraction because he is a hard worker, he's engaged, he's friendly, he has a great spirit, and he loves the Lord. So I'm super excited to have Pastor Cheatham with me tonight, and he's going to tell you all about himself.
Well, Godmom, thank you for having this medium to share with young men and to train and just to be a beacon of light and hope. Again, thank you so much for that. I'm Claude Cheatham. It's a lot I probably could try to say about myself, but I'll simplify it in what's most important. I'm a husband to Alexis Michelle. We have 2 beautiful, bold Black boys, one in the person of Zion, who is 5, getting ready to graduate, going into kindergarten. We're excited about that. And then Claude the third, we affectionately call him Trey. He is 1. And so we're excited about their future. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I love the Lord. I love the community. Love helping people. Love higher education. Love being there to assist any way possible. And so I'm excited to have this amazing conversation tonight.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And he will tell you a little bit more about what he's doing. He's doing a lot here in Jacksonville, Florida. So, and before we end this broadcast, he's going to tell you a little bit more about what he's doing, because he is a pleasure and he is bringing a lot to the Jacksonville area, specifically around EWC, our college, one of our colleges here. So, just glad to have him here today. And today we're talking about helping boys become better men. Helping boys to become better men. And Pastor Cheatham, you work with young men in many different settings. What is the number one issue that you find that causes a young man to act out or fall into defiant behavior?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a it's a layered question, in fact, because it's a plethora of things that that cause for young men not to be their best self and to ultimately live their best life. I think that if I were to put it as one, I think some of it is a lack of confidence in themselves as a result of uh, not either having the example of what it looks like to be a black man that is achieving, or I think it's the confidence of not knowing that it is obtainable, that they can achieve it within themselves, no matter where they grew up, no matter where they're from, no matter what deficiencies or issues that they may have, that does not stop them from possessing the confidence to build their best life.
Right. Yeah, I agree. When people tend to bully our young men, talk negatively to them, and such things as this, it really does a lot to their self-esteem, as you stated. And a lot of times people don't realize it, even with parents. Sometimes they'll say, well, you know what, you're just like your dad. You're going to turn
Right.
like your dad, or you're so stupid. Go sit down somewhere. I don't want to hear you. All
Right.
these things, the kids may have been brought up to be respectful, so they don't say anything. However, that does impact the way they feel, those feelings inside. So it's very, very important.
Yes, it's important that that we that we build that confidence of our young men. Even now, I've got my youngest hanging out with us today. He's roaming around, but even at his early age, we try to take that time to just encourage him and affirm him, so that he desires to learn more. And I think that sometimes in our community, what we have to do is take the time to encourage our young men. We've got to take the time to encourage them, and I think that's what's needed.
Right. Yes, and so many don't get that. So, those out there listening, if you are working with a young man, hi Trey. If you're working with a young man, you're mentoring or youth ministry or whatever, give them a hug. I know you got this COVID thing going, but it's all good. But sometimes that's the only hug they get, believe it or not. So any
Right.
kindness that you can show, it goes a long way. Hi, let's see, Dan, thank you for tuning in, and Carolyn, thank you for tuning in today. All right. As stated earlier, I said you wear many hats. You have worked with youth, you work with young adults, you work with college students, you have pastored a congregation, and you can preach like all get out.
Oh, pray for me.
You are a father of 2 sons, so you just wear all kinds of hats.
Yes, ma'am.
What are some of the common mistakes that individuals make when dealing with young men that you think?
Common mistakes I think individuals make. So for me, I just talk about I'll talk about me. In wearing these different hats. I passed my first church there for almost about 2 years, and it was a place where we had to commute. You see, Trey got a lot to say. And while working into higher education at Edward Waters College in the Office of Admissions, while balancing a family, with my wife, and I think that one of the things I think I would suggest would be the lesson from those hats that I think shaped my journey is, that I think young men or men can learn is prioritizing your time so that what matters the most um, is accomplished, if that makes sense. Prioritizing your time in a way to where, for example, I've got to be different things to different folk because that's my assignment in the earth. But my main assignment is to let this young man who is roaming around right now and screaming the space to call me daddy and still attend to everything that he has and need, him and Zion. And I think that oftentimes we just don't take the time. We don't take the time, and the time that we take isn't is time not teaching. It's just time, just kind of just 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 being there. And I think that in the time you must take the time to teach. You must take the time to be an example. You must take the time to take your young men out on a date. And though that that may not be something that our culture is accustomed to, but the first time that they're learning how to treat a woman doesn't need to be from their potential spouse's father. It needs to be expressed or examined or presented through their father. And so I think that that's just taking the time. That's the big deal, and the big thing for me is that though I wear different hats, I I want to I try to take the time to make sure that even at 5 and at 1, that these young men are being prepared to be husbands and fathers and every other hat that God wants them to eventually wear.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. That's great because that's it is important for them to know. Like I mentioned earlier about every mother and young ladies, they want a young man to know how to treat them. So as you stated, they don't want their dad to have to say that. Some guy pulls up and he's outside blowing the horn, and the dad say, "Oh, why is he blowing the horn? You got blowing in the room. You need to come up to the door."
Right.
And I had this, I think like a couple of times I've talked about the guys and dating or whatever. And I was like, look, they make me feel like I'm just so old because it's like, no, we don't want to go to the door. We don't want to go to the door unless, it's a close relationship. We don't want to meet the parents yet. But I think that's disrespectful,
It is, it is. I think that, the, I was blessed and fortunate because, my father, my father is in my life and, and has, um, taught me really everything that, uh, that helps me to be a good father. Though I'm still learning, a whole lot of lessons I'm still learning. At this age. But I think that, I was blessed to be a bit, ahead of the game, because of the presence of my father. Certain things, just didn't fly with my dad. If I was gonna take a young lady out, it was gonna be, you go to the door, you meet her parents, you pay for the meal, you take care of the tip, wearing certain attire to certain things. That was a big thing. My dad, my grandfather actually wrote a book called Image Matters. And, it's a big thing for my dad. He says all the time, image matters. So I wasn't even allowed to walk outside, even on a day that I was just going to the grocery store with them, or just going on my own accord, going to, do anything. It was just a certain way I had to walk out of the house because, his main thing was, you're bearing my name. And I'm the second, I'm Claude Cheatham the second. And it was a big thing because, I was bearing his name. And I think that, all of our men should carry the weight of legacy of, you're bearing that family name. You're carrying on that family legacy. How you comport and carry yourself is how that family is seen to the world, how that family is seen amongst others. And so that's always been a big thing for me. And I think that, I think that that's one of those lessons that I think that all of our young men should take a great deal of time learning.
Yes. Yeah, I need to get you on here again then, because it had me feel like I just had lost it. Because all those things you were saying, I'm like, no, we don't pay for the meals now because the young ladies they want to pay. They don't want us to pay, and all of this. Like, I still think the guys should pay.
Yeah, I know time has changed, but I think that some things, I think some things just don't change. Some things are just kind of, some things are just one of those things that, one of those traditions that just don't change.
Right. Yeah, there's those basic principles about respect and, caring about yourself, the way you look. I was the same way with you as your parents were. You just don't go outside like holes in your hair and bedroom slippers on, and now you go to Walmart. When I made that statement, somebody said Walmart, they go to the mall too. Put their pajamas on now.
Yeah.
Nothing of it. And I don't know who told people that those slumber caps, they are slumber caps for the bed.
Right.
When you go to sleep, not even walk around the house. I don't know who told them that you're supposed to wear those outside. But it's like, hey, don't you care about yourself? Who you may run into while you're out there. You never know who you will run into, but you should care enough about yourself to care about how you look and what you represent.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, in my book, Build Your Best Life, I discuss the different obstacles that plague young men. But, some of those I see growing up in single family homes, lack of education, being called negative names or whatever. But I do believe that overcoming these obstacles can happen if they have solid principles and someone takes the time to learn them those principles. What do you think about this? Having those obstacles and being able to overcome them.
Yeah, overcoming obstacles is always been important for me, because though I was blessed with my father in my life, I still had some significant obstacles that I had to overcome. One of the big aspects of my journey was that when I went to college, when I went to college, I found myself in this obstacle where I got arrested while in college, and managing that situation was an obstacle. And I think that and even from my young men that are hearing this, that may think that just because you have gone through an obstacle does not mean that God is still not requiring from you obedience. Or just because you have gone through an obstacle doesn't mean that God will not give you an opportunity. And I think that obstacles are a part of the process, especially for our young men. Because I say, to me now, though it was something that I was embarrassed about for years and I never really talked about, I think that had that not happened, I would not be prepared. I would have not been prepared to manage certain things that I now am able to manage. Had I, had that not happened in college, my eyes would not be open to, okay, all right, I probably should do this way, or do this way, because as a young man, this is what keeps me protected. This is what keeps me in good grace. This is what keeps me well. And I think that oftentimes many of our young men that have had interactions with the law, or maybe that's not their issue, or dealt with obstacles such as, a parent is not in the household. For example, for me growing up, when my parents divorced, it was just my dad, my siblings, and I. And so, being raised by just a father, there were some lessons of nurture that I needed, on the mothering end. And so, obstacles are a part of the process, but it is what you do with the obstacles that make it an opportunity. If you allow the obstacles to paralyze you and to demoralize you, and it pretty much, you make it to where the obstacle is what you allow to define you, then you'll never get to where you want to be. If I allowed that obstacle to get to define me, I would have never believed that I would be able to be a graduate. If I would have let those obstacles make me think that I could not, I didn't have the opportunity to. Now I'm working in higher education, the same place, in retrospect, to where I have the obstacle is the same place God sent me back as an opportunity, to where now I sit across the table from young men and women, and I share with them the importance of taking college serious, and the importance of that collegiate atmosphere, and taking and while you're here, um, doing your very best and giving it your very best, and being your best self, so that you can ultimately live your best life. And now I'm living out the opportunity that is now producing more opportunities because of that small obstacle.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, thank you for that. So that young man and everybody listening, see that there's another testimony of you go through life, and sometimes those things help you. At the time, I know it seems dark. It doesn't, seem like, oh, woe is me. I'll never get over this. But sometimes it's to make you stronger, to grow, to give you that experience. Because, try as we may, we try to provide you with things that so you won't have to go through what a lot of other people had to go through. But some things you have to learn for yourself. There's a purpose for that. So thank you for that example.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you could you give us, I say 5, but it may be more or less, but give us 5 principles that will benefit young men in helping them to achieve a better life.
I think one of which is one of which is the first lesson is your word is your bond. Your word is your bond. That's the first principle. Your word is your bond. If anything, here, buddy. If anything, a young man, if anything, a young man needs is his word. If anything, a young man needs is his word. Come on, bud. So, you're crying on camera.
Oh, you put it on the tray.
If anything, a young man needs is his word. It goes a long way. I'm still of the again. I was raised a little different. So my dad always taught me the importance of eye contact and a handshake. And so if I shake your hand and I look you in the eye and I say, hey, this is what I'm gonna do, or this is what I believe I can do, or this is what I can't do, but I shake your hand and I look you in your eyes, that word being your bond. So I think that's one principle, that to always allow your word to be your bond, because if your word can't be your bond, then you always find yourself having to overcompensate with everything else, because the one thing that a man has is his word, and if that word doesn't mean anything, you always find yourself in a deficit. So I think that's one thing. So that's the integrity factor. If I put it into a word, that would be integrity. The second thing is is every young man, or every man should be, I'll say, looking or preparing for legacy. And what I mean by that is that the decisions you make today affect your tomorrow. In this context, financially, all right, are we still on?
Yes.
Okay. If you're not taking the time to if you're not taking the time to save your money, then ultimately you're going to always find yourself in the deficiency, because as a young man, you got to always be thinking about legacy. You got to always be thinking about, how does this dollar affect my tomorrow? And so, right now, one of the things that, we were able to do was, get a property in for our kids. We were able to get a property for our kids that is now right now helping us as a as another stream of income, and that's only because, though at 25 and my wife's 28, I made a decision that legacy was what was important to me, and so I was gonna save certain things and make certain initial sacrifices so that I could be able to do certain things that I wanted to do. Now, have I made all the right decisions? No. Are there certain things that I want to continue to learn, and be able to be able to all of those things are part of the decision making process. And I think that is, all of those things factor into what a man ought to be doing. So I think that first thing is in the integrity factor. The second end is, uh, thinking about legacy. The third thing I would say is treating others and yourself with respect. And when I say treating others and yourself with respect, everybody likes to have a good time, and I'm all out, for that. I mean, anybody that knows me know I love to hang, love to, enjoy life. But anything that takes you away, or any substance or anything that takes you out of being consistently respectful, you might want to alter or do it in moderation so that it doesn't affect your respect for yourself and your respect for others. I think that those 3 or 4 things, in a nutshell, if a young man puts in their pocket, and number 5 would be furthering their education. You know, growing up in the South, you hear this one phrase: as a African American male, you got to be 3 times better than anybody else, and any other ethnicity or race. Not saying that no other race or ethnicity, can be better, but as who I am, I understand that I've got to be the 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 game changer. So in that, I've got to further my education, and that doesn't always mean college, but that does mean training. That doesn't always mean college, but that does mean some type of certification. And in any field, requires some type of certification. And do what it takes so that you can have that level of education, so that that level of education can produce some additional opportunities. And so again, I want to make sure I say it could be a trade. It could be it could be, again, any type of certification that qualifies you to be able to, or certifies you as, I desire to be the best in whatever field this is. It doesn't matter if you want to be a plumber, become a certified plumber, right, so that you are the best plumber that in all of plumbing. If you want to be, if you want to be an entrepreneur, get the MBA, get that Master's of Business Administration, get that which you need, so that you're not just starting a business and it's crashing and burning because you have no business acumen. Get what it takes so that you can build your best life, and you don't have to call anybody else to say, hey, can you help me out? Can you tell me how to do this? Get all the information yourself so that you can be the one to tell others how to do it. And I think that if you live out those 5 principles, those key things, I think that you can't help but to build your best life.
Those are great. I love it. And it's important. I love that you say, excuse me, education doesn't necessarily mean college, because, I don't care how young you are, how old you are, you can always learn something. And, college is just not for everyone. I mean, people learn in different ways, but, they have welders. That's like people that are welders, they make good money. Like you said, plumbers. And those are just different types of certifications. So, you don't have to go to college, but you want to be certified. And like I used to tell people, even if your job is pick up paper, you want to be the best paper picker upper in the world.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter. So there's people that have, excuse me, janitorial services.
Yep.
They want to be the best so they can get more clients. They can hire more employees. They can sit back and relax. So, it doesn't matter what your job is. You want to have fun doing it and get paid doing it.
Absolutely.
Excuse me. All right, now I just know this about you before you answered this earlier, but you can really give us a good perspective on this. And I had a question: what is your perspective about a single father raising your son versus a single mom?
Yeah, that's the story of my life. My father, raised my siblings and I, and I think that, shout out to all of the single fathers that are doing that while providing and working and doing their very best that they big God has a really big blessing for those fathers that really take that responsibility to really do that. And don't give up. Don't give up. And think that God is not going to send you that superwoman. God has that one uh, right there for you. But as you continue to be your very best, hustling hard, doing what it takes, God then is going to be able to send that right one for you. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with a single father. I think it's a statement of true strength. When that father decides to take ownership, of those children and or that child. I think that's a statement of true strength. And the mothers that do the same.
Right.
But since in this, that mothers that do that take upon that responsibility to just to do that. My wife, I did that. That's a part of our story. Part of our journey. Yeah, that she did that, and out of which that was one of the things that I really love about her was that she had that tenacity to push through. And I think that even single fathers in this context that are doing that, God is going to honor your tenacity, and if you just keep in triumph through it.
Great tips for both of our moms and dads that don't think it's robbery and just throw their hands up and I can't do this, but they know that the children are counting on them, so they go ahead and put in the work to do what they need to do. Okay, another question I have for you is, can you give us a couple of tips to our parents and educators on how they can better communicate with young people? That communication is, what gets things stopped a lot of times.
So that's one of those lessons that I am still trying to learn. My wife and I both are still trying to learn it. We're trying to learn it. We're young parents. It's always kind of funny when we talk about this whole communication piece with the aspect of our kids, because you know I it's funny because I was raised and reared a little, little in the country's a little different. So, you tell me, hey, sit down somewhere, and don't get up, and it's either you're going to stay outside, or you're going to sit inside, that could, or just certain things that you say. I think that one of the lessons we've learned in this journey of parenting the both of them is that, one, they're two different kids. So the way that I communicate with Zion is not the way I communicate with Trey. The way I communicate with Trey is not the way I communicate with Zion. So, like, for example, Zion is our young man that, you really, you kind of you're gonna have to say something to him multiple times, but Zion is the one, you say it to him, you talk to him, and communicate with him in that regard. He's gonna move differently. He's gonna take the lesson and apply it. Whereas Trey, we do the conversational piece. Again, he's one. But then it also, hope nobody in DCF is watching, but I own it. There are times where we have to, give him a little pop. That's what we call it, pop. So like, he knows when mommy and daddy say, hey, pop, he gives himself a pop. And he understands that whatever it was that he was doing was not something good, because we've communicated to him in a way that, hey, We're going to talk to you, but at the point that that your behavior or whatever the lesson is needs to be learned, needs to be conveyed. And after this, you've been continually openly defined, we got to give you that little pop. And so I think that that's, in regards to communication, I think that, you got to learn your children, know who they are, know who you are. Because you know who you are, some of that stuff you can see, like some of Trey's strength that boy is a Cheatham. He's got that strong willedness. And so y'all pray for him. Jesus. He's he's got that strong willedness. And so and Zion has that from me as well, whereas he has his mom's ability to just kind of manage lessons a little different, where also he has his other family, equally embedded in him. And so, just learning your kids, so as you're communicating with them in a way to where you're able to get whatever the task or whatever the outcome is accomplished. Because at the end of the day, if the reprimand doesn't result in a relationship, or the reprimand doesn't result in an outcome, then it's really just a reprimand with no purpose.
All right, just talking to be talking. Very good. Thank you for that. Okay, for my final question I have for you, if you could tell our audience, give them your closing thoughts about how individuals can step up to our young men.
So that's a great question, and I love this. And again, thank you so much for inviting me and taking the time to have me on. I think that what people can do, specifically our men can do, as it relates to being engaged, is just really mentor. It may sound cliche. Each one teach one. Trey's bringing me a picture of his mom, and so he want me to show a picture of his mom. So, taking the time to teach. We're not going to be able to reach every young man, and we understand that. We're not going to be able to reach everybody, but what we can do is reach those persons that are in our sphere, our nieces, our nephews, and our cousins, and our sons and grandsons, and that neighborhood young man, or that is near, that you are relating to in some aspect. Take the time to teach them, and take the time to mentor them, pick them up. If you see, one of the things that always plagued me about the church, or Christians in this factor, is that when it comes to our young men, we do a great job of talking about them, but when it comes time to actually dealing with them and actually mentoring them, we're scarce, or scared, or unavailable, or don't have time, or we'll start an effort and don't complete that effort, or we will, whatever, we'll be we'll do it for the time being, and not continue with it on the long run. All of these things factor into what we can be offering as men to our young men. Just take the time to teach one. Don't talk about them, teach them. Don't say what they're not doing or what they don't do well. Take the time to teach them. Don't say that, how unexposed they may be, or what they don't know. Take the time, you show them. They don't know how to tie a tie, you teach them how to tie. If they don't own a suit, you buy them a suit. If they've never been outside of the state of Florida, you be the one responsible to take them outside of the state of Florida. They never left Jacksonville. Take that young man, embrace him, and you take him somewhere that he's never been. Never sat down in a restaurant. Don't know what fork to use. Don't know what kind of meal to order in certain settings. You take the time to do that, and I think that in doing that, that will change the tide, and out of which it will produce a generation of young men that will be not only clear of themselves, but will be prepared to prepare the way for others, young men that will come behind them.
That's good. All right. Thank you so much. We need men stepping up to help out. And like you said, Pastor Cheatham says, stop talking about them, what they can't do, what they're not doing. If you're not going to step up, assist them in doing and learning what they need to. I appreciate you so much coming on today. This has been great. And I want you to let everyone know what you're doing out there. I think it's great.
Yes. Right now, we're excited to lead this HBCU movement called Victorious Solutions, where we are educating, equipping, and empowering college students and those that are endeavoring to learn a great deal about our HBCUs. We're providing opportunity for awareness of all the HBCUs around the world, and we are helping them to, because I'm engaged in higher education, we're helping students to get enrolled into college, specifically Edward Waters College is where we are now, and serving them and helping them students to get into school there and further their education. Even if you want to go back to school, as an adult, we're helping folks to get into school, and out of which we're doing some community service out of that, which is our heart and our passion. My wife and I, we both love to do that, very passionate about that. And so we've been able to do some amazing things there. And you can find all of the things that we're doing on social media, on Facebook, Victorious Solutions, on Facebook, as well as on Instagram, _ Victorious Solutions. And if you want to be so kind to help us with the work, we're trying to plan a gas giveaway. One of those things that was been an issue the last couple of weeks was the gas issue, and so we're trying to offset that as things are opening back up, and we're going to do a gas giveaway. So if you even want to be a blessing to that, you have ways on our social media to be able to do that. And so thank you so much for this opportunity to share, and excited about what comes in the near future.
Great. Thank you so much for everything that you are doing. I think that's wonderful. Alexis are doing. So again, hit him up on Facebook. So thank you so much for coming on, everybody. I will be back on Thursday at 6:30, as well as Saturday at 9:30 a.m. And June 12th, mark your calendars. We are having our men and boys conference from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we have some exciting speakers that will be on that platform. So please join us. And as you travel on your road to building a better life, there will be distractions, pitfalls, rough terrain, and detours. Don't let any of these negative aspects of your journey stop you. Though they may slow you down, keep going to be a better you so that you can build your best life. Building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan. That's our commitment. Thank you. Be blessed and have a wonderful night. Thank you, Pastor Cheatham.
Thank you so much.